Here is a bit of information about how you should actually do a question. And you might think, well, what's the deal with that? You do a question, there's nothing really to say about that. But there is actually something to say about that. I am using this question and answer approach, and you will see a lot of different things that are associated with the question, so I just like to talk about that. You might see a hint section. Sometimes a question will have a hint to steer you in a certain direction. When looking at some of these questions, the first thing that you're going to have to ask yourself is whether or not you even have enough background to answer it. There's going to be some problem solving that you're going to have to do. Not every situation in life is cut and dried where you say, oh, here's a question, this is how to answer it. Or here's a question, I can answer it this way. Sometimes with some questions, it's not even possible to know whether there is an answer or not. So some of the questions I'm going to give to you are just excuses. They're leading questions. It's a way for me to give you information about some of the concepts of your math course by me answering the problem. So sometimes the question is put there, but I know that you don't know how to answer it. I'm just asking you a leading question like, well, how do you think you do this? And you would go, well, I don't know. How do you do that? And well, let me tell you. So that's going to be one thing that's going to happen. You're going to sometimes see an answer associated with a question. If you check if there is an answer section, you should open that up and check that first. Maybe you weren't able to do the question, and by looking at the answer, it might give you some hints about how you should have tackled the question. So if there is an answer, check that out first, and maybe it will help you to do the problem, and if you were able to do the problem, it will help you to check your answer. And if you made a mistake, then you can actually try and fix that mistake, and you certainly should try to fix that mistake. If you try and you still can't fix it, then you would move on to the solution. Many of the solutions are going to be movies. I'll post those movies at YouTube. I found most students are very happy to see me doing those movies because it's a more active thing than having to read or just see a kind of static answer. If I can do a movie, then I can be working and talking at the same time, and that can be really helpful. Sometimes a question will have a print summary, and I'll just go back up here and mention that. Maybe in order to do this problem, you had to work on this graph, and you will have seen previously, or you will see at some point, how to print just part of a file. So you don't want to just print. If I go to print, slowly, it's going to print the whole file now, and I don't want it to print the whole file. And you will have seen this, I'm just repeating information here. You can go to print selection. So I'm selecting the cell that encloses this grid, and maybe I want to print that to be able to do this problem. So I select that cell and I go up here to print selection, and then it's only going to print that particular part of this whole file, and then I can sit there and use this grid that I will have prepared for you to actually answer the problem. And sometimes in a problem, like I said, I might give you quite a bit of information to answer it because it's a set of notes that are related to something in your course, and I might have a summary that I'm expecting you then to click on this summary and print this summary, that you can put that into your notes, into your math binder, and keep that for reference. All of this is of course optional. You can decide whether you want to print anything or not, but these are just some ideas about how you might go about tackling a question so that it will be the best experience for you that it possibly can be.